Hello, everyone. Welcome to Quantum Catechesis. I'm Father Joe Krupp, and you're not. You are here for today for Guest Who, a segment where we choose from a very large pool of guests, namely anyone smarter than me. And no one typifies that better than today's guest, who was, I'm just going to say it. Can I say it?
Say it.
Inducted,
Don't know what he's going to say, but say it.
Inducted into the Hall of Fame. That's all. I'm just saying, I'm not, I'm going to bring it up a lot because I'm a horrible human. But tomorrow, just as a heads up, we're going to be off to the DeBuck's Sod Farm and doing the show from there. And I really hope to plant some seeds that even the devil can't mow down.
So it begins. After your show yesterday, I wanted to go online and find some Sod Farm jokes because I know
we need them, bro. But this man's been like a brother to me for I don't know how long. Called my mom, calls my dad, and I could try to list, and I'm dead serious about this, people. I could try to list his accolades, but we would be here for a bit. And instead, what I'd rather do is just introduce you to my friend, my brother, my fellow acolyte, a phenomenal reporter, a beautiful dad and grandpa, and a great human being, Bill Harris.
Thank you, Brother Joe. Thanks. So this is what it looks exactly as it does when I'm watching on TV. There's Doc in the band. There's Ed. The whole gang is here.
Exactly. Well, and the best part about Ed McMahon is that since he's been dead so long, he just doesn't take up much room. The alcohol seems to have preserved him well.
And so we begin. It's going to be a long 59 minutes.
Oh, yeah. And I don't know if we should tell the stories about some of the crap we've done. I mean, the good stuff we've done, yes.
Yes, absolutely.
But let's start with this, bro.
Right.
Tell me where you were born. Tell me about your family. What do you got for us?
I want to keep it short because it's a long history.
Yeah.
But I am a baby boomer Catholic.
Yeah.
Right. Grew up in an industrial town. Reminds me a lot of Flint. I'm originally from the great state of Massachusetts, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. And I wore the sweatshirt to church yesterday. It says, "Best city by a dam site."
Nice.
And there's a picture of a dam. And that's where they got the hydroelectric power to power the paper mills in Holyoke, Massachusetts.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know that.
Which at the time was the leading supplier of paper to the world.
Wow.
So let's go back, into the 30s and the 40s. They had little conclaves of Irish, French, Polish. We had 7 churches within 8 blocks of each other.
Yeah.
And I really like to think way back because when my parents got married, she is of Polish descent, 100%. Okay. My dad was 100% Irish descent.
Wow.
And back then, even though the churches literally were 2 blocks apart, this was almost considered a mixed marriage.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
And,
oh, absolutely.
So the reception and the wedding and everything was like the Hatfields and McCoys. So anyway, I digress. Born in Holyoke, Massachusetts, went to a K through 12 Catholic school, St. Jerome's, Irish Catholic.
Nice.
Went to Holyoke Community College, Boston University, and the Lord called me to Flint, Michigan 34 years ago next week.
So you were 5 years old when you were called to Flint, Michigan. Yes. I got to throw this in because I'm a gun nut, and I know you're a gun nut. Were you not born somewhat near Springfield Armory?
Well, Holyoke is at the time, again, being a big industrial city of about 50,000. Of course, that population has shrunk a little bit, but it's a suburb of Springfield.
Oh, very
good.
So,
yeah, it's a stone's throw away.
Yeah.
So, I'm very familiar with Smith & Wesson, Springfield Armory. But a little asterisk side note, my dad worked for Savage Arms, the shotgun manufacturer, which was based in Chicopee, Massachusetts originally, another suburb. Nice. Then they moved to Westfield, and I actually worked a summer with my dad at Savage Arms.
Nice.
I wasn't too fond of getting up at 4:30 in the morning, but it was an experience.
I have a Savage Arms 7mm hunting rifle, and I've got gosh, 5 Springfield Armory pistols.
They're wonderful weapons.
Fantastic and affordable and super high quality. I think the world of them.
As we talk about some of, we're going to have a billion stories, and one comes
Yeah.
to mind about the Savage Arms thing. When I came here to Michigan in '77, so it's around 1978, I'm having my taxes done.
Okay.
My accountant says, "Have you ever shot skeet before?" No, I never have. Come on out. So someplace in northern Oakland County hands me a gun
Yeah.
and shows me how to do it. So
Yeah.
I rack, first time, hit it, up I go, and I freeze.
Yeah.
And the guy comes running up to me. He's going, "What's the matter?" I pulled the gun down, opened up, pulled out, make sure nothing was going to happen, and showed my father's stamp and my stamp as an inspector were on that weapon.
Oh, Bill.
What are the odds,
Oh,
right?
my
I mean, I
gosh.
was in tears. Here's something my father worked on and I worked on
What
20
a
years ago.
source of
Yeah.
holy pride.
So it was like,
That's
wow.
craftsmanship. That's American craftsmanship. Oh. So, brother, for those who don't know, because, frankly, a lot of our audience is not from Michigan. What work brought you to Flint, Michigan, all the way from Boston?
Well, I was working at a TV station in Boston, no, actually in Springfield, now that you mention it.
Fix the camera, bro. Sorry.
Or I can sit like this if you
There.
want.
Okay.
In Springfield, the NBC affiliate,
There.
during and right after college.
Yeah.
And it's an amusing story I like to share. They are markets at the time. Markets are designated by population and,
Okay.
and so forth and so on. So Springfield is like 100, market number 100.
Sure.
For reference, New York is number 1. So
Oh,
you get the
sure.
gist, all right. So it's about time in my career, either I want to go to Boston, which would have been a bigger market. So I'm feeling out possible jobs. I want to stay in Massachusetts, love to work in Boston. I see what we call a blind ad in a trade magazine. Wanted producer, noon anchor, Midwest market, media market. What the heck? So I sent a resume, edit tape, to this blind ad. The phone rang when I was in the edit room of the TV station. The news director from WJRT is on the other line, and he says, "Flint, Michigan," and I laughed. I laughed out loud. I went, "What?" He convinced me to come out for an interview, and that would have been Labor Day weekend of 1977.
Bruh.
I arrived here on a Friday of Labor Day weekend and got a tour of the city, got a tour of the station. Wow, this is a pretty nice city.
Yeah.
He drops me off at Bishop Airport, and I've got 1 foot out of the door of
Yeah.
his SUV truck in Flint, made, of course, and he throws a figure at me as to how much. That was the longest flight back to Massachusetts. My father at the time was dying of cancer,
Oh, Bill.
and I had all weekend to pray, talk to my family. What am I going to do? And everyone went, "Go west, young man."
Yeah.
And here I am. So I accepted the job, and how many years, Nick, at Channel 12? 30 something? My daughter's here. Yeah, 30 some odd anyway.
Well, and one of the things that, for those of you, again, not from Michigan, you know that when you talk about the news in Bay City, Saginaw, Midland, and Flint, nobody, and I'm not saying this because he's sitting here, I don't think anyone in this area would disagree. Bill Harris defines the news. That we all have our local heroes. Every community has their local heroes. I have lived in, oh my gosh, 8 or 9, 10, 11, 12 cities in Michigan now. 12. And I've never seen such respect and affection for one person before. And it's because of the way he presented the news. And integrity and clarity. And honestly, this is going to sound like a funny thing perhaps, diversity. Like, I couldn't believe the range of topics that you completely immersed yourself in. You never seemed to just do a story. You got after it. And I think of your work with the Michigan State Police, with the first responders. Tell me if I'm wrong on any of this. Your work when they sent you down to cover Katrina and you didn't just do reporting, you helped. I could go on and on. But so for God's people watching who don't know this man, I cannot tell you what it's like to be his friend, let alone simply to be his news disciple. I don't know what to call it. When I moved, anyway, I could go on and on. But how long, Bill, did you served in the Flint community, sharing the truth with us, sharing the news?
Well, again,
with
it
us?
will be starting my 35th year next week.
Isn't that
Yeah,
something,
yeah.
guys?
You know,
Hmm?
oh,
More than that.
my resident mathematician daughter is here.
Oh, it's 40,
40,
isn't it?
that's right, 40. Yeah,
Yeah, because I'm
Lose
50,
track.
bro, and I met you when I was 7 or 8.
See, that's a page. We're going to talk about this
Yeah.
kind of symbiotic relationship
Yeah.
with him. But see, I don't recall meeting you.
Oh, sure, I was a boo-boo.
You and Mike Perch.
Yeah,
were-
you came out to our church. What had happened was all of us in Montrose to go to church went to the Saginaw Diocese. And why? Because that's where the closest churches were. We were on the border of Saginaw Diocese. And Father Fackler, do you remember
Yeah,
old Doc
yes,
Fackler?
yeah.
Okay. So he approached my mom and dad and I think a few other couples and said, we're going to build a Catholic church in Montrose. Montrose is a town where there were at that point 13 Baptist churches. Okay, to give you a sense of thing, in a community of about 2,000 people, there were 13 Baptist churches, and here comes old Doc Fackler with all the brass in the world, and so we began worshiping at the school, the public school gym, and the first Sunday we did it, you came. And here's, and I don't mean to embarrass you. I mean, you're my brother, and I love you. I can tell you what he was wearing.
Oh my gosh.
It was such a
I'm
big
having
deal.
trouble remembering the
Oh,
event,
well,
and he
sure.
remembers what I wore.
Sure. This was 1979, maybe. So I was 9. And you were wearing a blue suit, and you came out. And I just remember Father Fackler telling all of us kids, don't bother him. Right, for 2 weeks before AVC, you were AVC at that time,
Right,
JRT came, it was, don't bother him. Let him do his job, because he knew we were all gonna, Bill Harris. And it's so funny. I mean, he pounded that in our head. Do you remember this, Pat? Like for 2 weeks, the announcement was, when Mr. Harris comes, you need to leave him alone and let him do his job. And it was so funny. So Mikey Perch and I were the boys who greeted you at the door, and we thought we were the luckiest boys in the world. And
Now
we-
you know that's the difference, right?
And
You
now
and
I
Mike.
know that Bill is actually a horrible, horrible human being.
Well, as it
but-
turns out, by the way, I worked with Mike
Yeah.
at the TV station later on in life.
Absolutely. And, ever since then, our lives have intersected in bizarre ways. But if you're comfortable, do you, where do you want to go? Do you want to
Well,
talk?
I want to pick up that. So my recollection of meeting the king here for the first time dates back to the parish when Father Swiat and Father Irwin, Patrick O'Brien, Swartz Creek boy,
Of course.
had a meeting in the rectory about this new plan for a possible publication called Faith Magazine. And for whatever reason, they asked me to come in and be a part of the
Yep.
discussion. So the plans developed, and let's fast forward to when the first issue came out, eagerly looking forward to it. And I'm getting hooked on this column every week by Father Joe Krupp. Joe in the know
with Father Joe.
in the know,
Yep.
Father Joe. Tremendous writing style, bringing everything down to earth. Again, I'm a pre-Vatican to post-Vatican to Catholic, so
Sure.
your ability to talk our language was, oh, this guy's great. So I took a chance, emailed this Father Joe Krupp, not remembering I met him as a kid, and complimented him on his writing ability and his gifts to the church and blah blah blah. Get an email response back reminding me that I'd met him when he was a little tot. Threw accolades back at me, and next thing you know, I'm breaking bread with you.
Yeah.
And then then it's just
We've
went
been inseparable
downhill
ever
from
since.
there.
Yeah. And you know, things like, you know, truly, guys, like my mom was so proud to call her like a son, him like a son. Bill would visit Mom and visit our family, and again, for those of you who are news junkies, you know what I'm talking about. It's a unparalleled thrill for a lot, and then settling into a real friendship.
That's what it was, right? Family, definitely family, you know.
And in fact, this is a weird thing. See if you remember this. The first DVD I ever saw, and it might have been a Laserdisc, was in your basement. And it was, because I saw it, because you had a Bobby Orr picture up, that beautiful Bobby Orr picture, and it's signed.
Warriors horizontal to the ice.
And we watched,
Stanley
me,
Cup.
Mike Perch, you, and Chris watched, I think Chris was there, we watched Top Gun. Do you remember this?
Oh, every time I see Top Gun, I think of you.
Yes. It was the first time I saw a laser disc, or do you remember, was it DVD or laser disc?
I'm going to say it was DVD.
Okay.
But, yeah.
And just
Blu-ray, probably.
yeah, and no way is this technologically possible, right? We were VCR people, and I had no idea how that was, like, even fast forwarding without waiting. You know what I mean?
We have learned something here this afternoon, people at home. Father does have hearing, you know, you do have
Yeah,
hearing
severe.
problems. The volume, when we watched Top Gun that day, you could have heard us in Czechoslovakia.
Yeah.
Trust me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if
We
any
got-
damage to your hearing,
Yeah.
it's my fault.
We got calls from Midland saying, knock it off. And,
Well,
but, so as a reporter, if you're comfortable with this question, can you give us a few, one or two examples, like this was defining to me, or this was life-changing to me? And I know there's a million of those, but is anything coming to mind right now with something you want to share?
well, it's a bad analogy, but when people ask you for your favorite mass or Father, are you going to remember my sin? And you're going to go, how many times have you said, you know,
Right.
no, it's like a McDonald's menu. Yeah, there are thousands of stories. I do remember to this day my very first fatal accident. Huge impression on me.
Yes.
Number two would have been, this is a great opportunity now to do show and tell.
Okay.
Try.
Anybody recognize that guy under the umbrella?
What is it?
World Youth Day.
Oh, which one? We did a couple.
Right.
Which one's this?
2002.
Oh, Toronto, I still had hair. Not much.
And-
you can see where it was happening.
This was a huge moment in my career and my personal life because he would have been my color man when I was working for ABC 12. And we were doing live shots for stations across the country, not just Channel 12,
Yeah.
satellite. So we had the satellite truck, and it was just an awesome experience. Add to that my daughter was a pilgrim from Holy Family Church at this event, able to connect with her. And then who was our father,
Jeff Rose. Oh
yeah.
my gosh.
So to be a journalist, and yes, parentheses, Roman Catholic, but just to be a journalist, to have access to someone of worldly significance and heavenly significance, if you want to talk that, the Pope, and sharing our moments together, some hilarious,
Yeah.
some
Oh, yeah.
very religious. What was big for me?
Yeah.
Number two, the question may come up, but I'm going to answer it in advance about political persuasion, religious. I'm an old school journalist and was taught
right.
by some of the big. My first news director was a Kennedy,
Wow.
a scotch drinking in his desk typewriter, former newspaper reporter Kennedy. Brought up old school. And for me to inflict my opinion on a story is inherently wrong. And I
Yes.
think that's bad for any journalist. My gosh, have times changed.
Yeah.
With that preface, the next one was similar to this, where ABC 12, being an owned ABC station, there were only 7 of us in the country, sent me to the George Bush elder presidential swearing in.
Oh wow.
Inauguration day. And yeah, I mean, it was we were doing live shots at 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 a.m., 10, 11, noon, 1, because of all the time zones.
Sure.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, and just all around the clock. But it was an awesome experience, and I remember to this day, we were in the truck Saturday morning,
Yeah.
right along the mall, and I was editing, and I looked at my watch. Oh my gosh, it's 5 minutes to 12, and just opened up the door. Was able to walk out. Nobody around because it was a secure area. Standing right on the mall and looking straight down and seeing the swearing in.
Dude.
Hit me like a ton of bricks.
Oh, yeah.
You know, am I a Republican? Am I a Democrat? Am I a communist? It didn't matter.
Right.
It really touched me. Really touched me.
Well, and I don't know if you've read the studies, and I find this very believable, that one thing journalists and priests have in common is, as a general rule, what studies seem to say is most people would say, like, the Catholic Church is in trouble, except my priest. Right? Really, it's literally true that's what the studies tend to say, that there's some bad dudes, there's some bad priests out there, but not my priest. And in the same way, get this, I don't know if I'm sure you've seen this. Nobody trusts the national media, but trust in local news is through the roof.
It is. That's
like
that's
anymore, when there's a national story, I jump to local. I don't go to CNN or Fox or MSNBC or any of these cats because they're going to do what they do, right? Local news is just like, here's what happened. And nobody does that anymore, except y'all. And it turns out that is a national phenomenon.
Yes, it is.
That Chicago was where the study was based. That a tremendous amount of Chicagoans, is that a word? I don't know, Chicagoites?
It is now.
Chicagoans, yeah. Had zero trust in national media and almost complete trust in local. And I don't know why that makes me so happy, but it does.
It has a lot to do with tradition.
Yes.
And the people in your television market, as we call it, they're not going to be there unless you want them to be.
Okay, now.
So therefore, that trust
Okay.
factor begins.
I get it.
And this trust, it takes a while for it to build.
Mm-hmm.
But once you establish that trust and don't abuse it,
Yeah.
you're locked in. So
That's
therefore,
real.
it makes sense. Chicago, Boston, Flint, Saginaw.
Yeah.
If that's my man, if that's my female anchor, that's my man, female reporter, I believe
in.
you. It's funny, you talked about at the start of this discussion here about everybody is bad in the Catholic Church except my priest. Mm-hmm. This just came out yesterday. It was a Gallup poll. More than 2/3 of the people interviewed, 69%, said they're more concerned with bias in the news that others consume in their own news. In other words, they're more critical and concerned about the other people.
Oh, sure.
29%, however, are happy with my news.
Yes.
It's a statistic of what it just backs up
Isn't
what
that
you said.
perfect?
Oh, it is.
And there's such an intractability right now. I just spoke to a group of young priests about this, and I thought for sure they'd murder me. I really did. But I think I shared with you, I was so touched that there's a secret login website for priests, and it's where we help each other with questions and with what we would say pastoral application. You know, I got this couple here, I don't know what to do. You know, somebody's been there. But at one point, a priest got up and said what he was going to say that weekend at Mass. And of course it was, you can't vote for, you have to vote for. And I wrote this, you know, and said, for whatever it's worth, 22 years in the fight, right? And that ain't a lot, but it's what I got. And here's what I've learned. You will change no one. I've never heard anyone at a homily go, my politics have changed. It only further entrenches. And then you lose the ability to help that person later, right? And so much of it is compelling me to do this deep internal dive. And I don't like what I'm finding. I don't. I don't like that I'm finding when I read a news story, I'm not asking myself if it's true. I'm asking if it affirms what I already believe.
Exactly.
And that freaks me out, Bill. It's been about a month of this where I'm going, oh, okay, I've really let myself fall far in terms of humility and pride. And I feel like I just talked a while and people would rather hear you, but that study is me. That study is me, right? And I find comfort in the Wall Street Journal. I feel like they seem rational and sane to me, but oh my gosh, it's $1 billion to subscribe. But beyond local, I feel so lost.
Times they are changing in
Yeah.
my industry, and a lot that I disagree with. That's not the way I was brought up. So,
Yeah.
but it is what it is.
know.
You just the news consumer has to be careful. That's all.
Yeah.
You know, be your own judge. Yeah, I believe this. No, I don't believe this. Don't take it as gospel. And Lord knows, don't take everything you see on social media as truth.
Yeah. Well, brother, what would you say? How did your faith shape your work, like your news report? Can you allow it to, or is it more like, ugh?
Well, the reverse of that would be whatever political persuasion you have.
Okay.
Does it affect the way you perform your pastoral duties? And
Okay.
it's a rhetorical question because
Certainly.
we are faced with that same decision. So you have to learn how to separate the two. But how did the faith form? Well, you know, I grew up in an Irish Catholic community.
Sure.
So the influence was very heavy. And so as my faith grew, I've always wanted to be in media.
Yeah.
That was from
Yeah.
that tall. So it was just a natural progression that this Irish boy eventually became in the media. And as I was reflecting on sitting here with you today, you know, you asked the influence my faith may have had. I remember, first of all, my career began as a director, not as a newsman. I was
That's
being trained to be a director, producer. Graduated from school as a director. Got my degree in communications and social psychology, and got my first job. So I was a director, and I was asked to direct a 1-hour special on the fly, hot. Not pre-recorded, multiple cameras, multiple tape machines, multiple film, live. It was just overwhelming.
Yeah.
And this was going to happen at 7 o'clock. I remember going out at 6:30 to our station location was on top of a mountain. It was beautiful. Oh my gosh, was it beautiful.
Dude.
And you took a little path and came up. You swear you were sitting on the ledge of the Grand Canyon.
Bruh.
Looking west.
Bruh.
As the sun is starting to set. And I started to meditate and ask for intervention from the Holy Spirit. Says,
Yes.
get me through this one, because, you know, this could be a disaster. It's, you know, no errors, 100% hit the home run. From then I went, there is something to this prayer thing, I think.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And, you know, and further than that, because I volunteered with the Passionate Fathers Radio TV Center. They helped me get my ball rolling
Yeah.
in the business. And my first job while at Channel 22 was what? Directing the Sunday morning live mass. I was the only person that Bishop, God rest his soul, Bishop Christopher Weldon says, there's only one person in the diocese who can tell me to shut up. And that's Bill Harris. Because we had to be out 11 o'clock
Oh,
straight
yeah.
up. So if his homily was going long, I'm telling the floor director, cut, slow. But having that twofer, if you want to call it, being able to direct with Sunday Mass and participate at the same time was cool, way cool.
And weren't you a part of Reel to Reel?
In effect, because that was a production of the Diocese of Springfield, which was the outgrowth of the Passionate Fathers Radio TV Center.
Yeah.
So yeah, I did a couple pieces for Reel to Reel.
That's crazy. And then I've been there when you've collected Emmys. You've got, you know, I'm trying to think of all the awards you won, but I guess the big thing is this, and I got to make a confession to you. Okay, so now this is a confession.
Wait
to
till you
God's
hear
people.
my absolution.
Oh, bro, this literally was this morning. My hand to heaven. So I don't know if you saw how clean my desk is. The last few days, I have been in here just trying to go to war.
Well, I heard you
Right?
make reference to that yesterday.
Oh, big bro.
I've got
So,
cases.
yeah. So today was the pile, right? And some of it, file this, do that, blah, blah, blah. I got so many thank you letters to write, guys. Thank you so much. I don't even know how to thank you. And I'll try. Okay. But yeah, and the people who are going to help me with it just died a little. I can see them. I love you guys. Hey, I will double your pay. Not really. But so while I'm doing that, and you, as soon as I tell you this, you'll know the end of the story. They don't. Okay, so this morning, there's this letter, and it's Bill Harris is being inducted into the Michigan Broadcasters Hall of Fame. And we know, you guys are close and you love him. Would you like to buy an ad for the book? I'm like, oh, heck yeah. So I look up what I owe, I write my check, and I tear the little finger off, and as I'm stuffing it in the envelope, it says, be sure to return this by June 16th. This is a true story. This was today. And I'm like, June. Oops. Yeah. So, I don't have an ad in the booklet. And B, congratulations.
Well, thank you.
And
Thank you
that
very
was
much.
today, was it announced, or last night?
Last night.
Last night, this beautiful man was inducted into virtually.
Yeah, because of the pandemic.
Right, and he doesn't have. I was gonna make a joke.
Go ahead.
Well, no, now it's dead. It's no good. It was in my head. It was like, this will be awesome. And then as I started to say it, it was like, no, that's really stupid. And you would call it. So, but Bill Harris has been inducted into the Michigan Broadcasting Hall of Fame. And congratulations to you, bro.
Thank you.
Folks, just think of whatever you do, seriously, and think, if there was a Hall of Fame for your job, can you imagine what an affirmation it is of a life of hard work and sacrifice that you're in it, and that just, way to go, brother.
Thank you. Michigan's MAB produced, with the station's help, a video. And that picture that I just showed you, you're in the video. That particular clip is actually in the video they produced.
Boy.
So it's available everywhere online. The Michigan Association of Broadcasters, the NBC 25 website, so forth, and so on. It's really an entertaining video. There's a lot of highlights.
And will we be able to watch it?
Oh, yeah, right, whatever.
We'll
Yeah.
link it in.
Okay,
Carrie's gonna link it into this thing that you guys.
this thing right here?
Yeah.
Yeah, gotcha. So, no, thank you. I've led a Walter Mitty life, and to be enshrined, if you want, inducted into
Absolutely.
the Walter is surreal, because I've been allowed to do things, to see people, to meet people great and common that no one else in the world, or few, ever get the opportunity to do.
Yeah.
So, I'm the one who should be thanking, and I do. And with that, there are only two other people from Genesee County, the area, who are in the Hall of Fame. Both of them were from Channel 12.
Can I guess?
Well, I don't think you will, because they're off camera.
Oh, then no. I was gonna say McMurray.
I was thinking of him this morning after Mass. He should be, John McMurray should be the next. I'm going to try and get him in. But Tom Bryson is the former general manager of WJRT. He's from Grand Blanc. He was enshrined. And my boss, ex-boss, news director, Jim Blanker, who made all of these
Jim.
Well, of course, he's a parishioner.
Yeah.
Jim is also in there, too.
Oh,
And
he's a
thirdly,
good soul.
not in Genesee County, but someone who I know, when I mention her name, you're going to go, really? Sherry Jones is also in the Hall of Fame.
I love her. For those of you who don't know, Sherry is a anchor she served in Lansing.
Right. Channel 6, WLNS.
And her husband Rocco are just beautiful. I don't mean that, they're just beautiful human beings. And I there's no other way to put it. Like just lovely people who give to the community. Right. Who, just like you, I don't mean to. She's a lot prettier than you.
Indeed.
Yeah, but Wow.
So we can get into some of the stories. The Bishop's golf outing that I emceed with Sherry.
Yeah.
We ended up at some guy's apartment across.
That's right.
That's where I think I met Father Jeff, who was your roommate at the time.
That's right. Where were we? What was that? I remember this.
Yeah,
We threw down. There was some beer and.
Oh, that I don't recall. I thought it was a prayer service. Actually, you invited Sherry and me to pray with you.
Yes.
Father.
With God.
Yes.
And stuff.
That
yes.
night on Mack
For
Avenue.
Jesus.
Yes.
And that's where we were on MAC, and we had a retreat with Jesus. Now, did the Hall of Fame induction mention your almost incarceration at the border between Canada and the U.S.? Did that
that has been kept out of the press for a lot of good
Okay.
reasons, and there are only a few people, one of whom is also in this room. Before you give everybody the wrong impression, you want to just give a hint of what.
Yeah,
you're
Bill
referring
almost
to?
was arrested at the border between Canada and the U.S. right in front of his daughter, and two innocent priests
who were in the front seat, one of whom was driving at the time.
Okay, so that part is true. I don't even know how. So we had just
Nikki's
done,
rolling her eyes.
I know, Nikki's dying a little. We had just done World Youth Day in Toronto, and it was
a literal. No, literally the 10 o'clock live shot was done. He's in his clerics. Father Jeff's in his clerics, coat and tie. Everybody, all of a sudden, boom! One by one in the truck, t-shirt, shorts. Same thing for Father Jeff.
Yeah.
We get into the civvies and hop into one of your cars.
Yeah.
Nikki and I in the back seat, and it's let's go home.
And we literally haven't slept in well over 24 hours. And we're just trying to get home.
That
And
doesn't justify.
and it does not justify what Bill did through me.
Nikki and I
yeah.
were in tears laughing. It was these two guys were hilarious.
No, I was really crying.
And then yes, and Nikki just said, "No, I was real." As we got closer to the border, this, in all seriousness, this is post 9/11. So as we approached the border, there is the military with automatic weapons,
Ready to dance.
and these two are still Abbott and Costello in the front seat. This time, Nikki and I are now thinking we're fearing for our lives.
Yeah. Yeah, because let's just say it, Bill was out of control through me. But we pulled up to the booth, and in my defense, again, we had not slept in some time.
They're not buying that argument, brother.
It's true. So they ask, citizenship, they ask all this, and we're playing nice. And then he said, and I quote, knowing there's two priests, an anchor, and his lovely angel of a daughter in the car, do you have any firearms? And I said, quote, what do you need?
True story. How we made it across the border and are being able to be here with you this afternoon remains to be seen. That is just a snippet of what life has been like. And here's another one
It's
too.
the dumbest thing you've ever said.
The dumbest thing I ever did was to you at the bishop's ordination in Saginaw. Do you remember where I faked freezing up because that producer was driving me nuts? Uh-oh.
Wait,
Turn it
sideways.
sideways.
Oh, do you have a picture of this? So, there was
I'll introduce this as Exhibit B.
okay, so we were doing a live shoot from the whatever they call it when you make a new bishop, right? And this was a crew he had not worked with. It was a Saginaw crew affiliated with you, right?
Yeah, it was our Saginaw crew.
And at the risk of, let me think of how to say this well. There was a person working who kept talking to me like I was going to freeze up, like I had never done this before. And Bill said, no, he's fine. He's done this a lot. And honestly, I wasn't even nervous, and I don't know where this came from. Now you want to be careful when that light comes on. So here's the key: you can't break him. When he goes game face, I could put on a clown outfit, light myself on fire, and juggle chainsaws. off camera, and he's just going to keep that face and bang it out. So I thought, I will break him. That was what I thought. And sure enough, right before they started, they're doing the countdown, I whispered to Bill, watch this. And 3, 2, 1. And I'm like this. And then as soon as she hit live, I went and acted like I froze. And honestly, I think that was one of the best things I've ever done.
Oh, it's hilarious. It's a hilarious picture.
I ruined the shot because I was irritated.
Incorrigible. All right,
Yeah.
story time again.
Yeah.
On the list, because this is one I like to share. It's a fun story about not only the kind of stories that impacted me, but the fun stories and things that people normally don't get a chance to do. The U.S. Air Force Thunderbirds are coming to Michigan. And the Thunderbirds offer one media flight. And I was fortunate to be asked.
Bra.
Bishop Airport.
Bra.
The jet, I was geeked. The jet that I was supposed to fly in developed engine trouble and had to stay, and they canceled the flight.
No!
So I am just mortified. I'm on the tarmac practically in tears. But when they're back, you're going to get first crack. Thank you. Fast forward a couple of years, they're coming to Wurtsmith Air Force Base near Oscoda.
Okay.
Bill, I'm there, brother. Nikki and Chris they were young. And Janie and I spent the night at the hotel. Next morning, show up for the 3-hour, these guys are intense, 3-hour debrief, meteorological debrief, the whole 9 yards of the outfit. And they had a truck on the runway, which was their command and control center, and they invited my wife to go in.
Okay.
Unbeknownst to me, the guys, girls, and Janie have a bet as to whether I'm going to get sick. The pilot, the captain of this F-16, he's in on it too. So he...
Well, that's unfair.
Now, he says, well, this is Wurtsmith. This runway was built for B-52s, so it's a longer runway.
Got 1 billion miles.
I'm going to take this kid for the ride of his life. And the cockpit in camera was not working, but the audio was.
Thank you, Jesus.
Well, and my heads-up display camera was working too, so everything I'm about to tell you is true. He guns it, afterburners, straight out, and 90 degrees.
Oh, I would die.
The heads-up display said I pulled 7.3 Gs, which is twice that of the space shuttle.
Right.
All you hear is me, yeehaw, Cedar Point, eat your heart out. He levels off. I'm fine. I start to get a little queasy, but I turn up the air conditioning, the oxygen, and pull off my mask. And he's doing okay. I'm fine. So he starts to show me what this aircraft can do, which is why they take me up there. He takes me through every maneuver that you would see the Thunderbirds do. So I says, okay, look down to your left. That's the stick. So I'm thinking, back in the World War II, no. There's a little control on the left. He says, you see that toggle switch? Turn it to the left. Beep, boop. All of a sudden, oh, this is cool. Beep, boop. Now we're inverted all the way through. He says, and that's how, oh yeah, I'm having a ball. He says, okay, look up at your head's display, make sure you're proper speed, and look up for a second. I look up. His hands are on the canopy, and he said, she's yours. Take it.
Bro.
Yep.
Wow.
Flew, did a couple barrels.
Oh, Bill.
I love telling that story because it really
Bill.
underscores how lucky of an individual I am. I mean, who else can make mention? So naturally, I'm a big Thunderbirds fan.
I guess so. And if I'm looking at the oh, good. I want to get to a topic, if you're comfortable, where that I referenced when you there was a big party for Bill retiring ish, right, over at I always say the
Capitol.
IMA, the Capitol. And I was blessed to be asked to honor you. And this morning I looked for what I wrote, and I found it, but I couldn't figure out a way to get it on my iPad. But I referenced a lot of things. But the one I was so proud of you, I'm proud of you for 900 reasons, but was when you received the awful diagnosis from your doctor and then chose to use your human pain and your vocation. And I use these words and I meant it. Bill got sick and we all got better, right? That you use the pain and your skills as a news person to educate all of us. Is this something we can talk about?
Oh, absolutely, because that also is a huge, and it in the video there is a specific reference to that too. For us, for the immediate family, for myself, I was diagnosed with prostate cancer, and the phone rang one afternoon as I'm going off to work, and it's the doctor, and it's a phone call, and he's going, "You have prostate cancer." Whoa. Okay, we'll talk. Click. I was just stunned. Janie, my wife, walks in the door. She says, "What's the matter?" "I have prostate cancer." And she, after some tears and prayer, I did the one thing that nobody should do, went on the internet.
Facebook.
Duh.
Facebook is an excellent source for
Oh,
medical-
yeah.
Yes, excellent.
I became an authority
Oh,
on
totally.
prostate cancer.
Sure. You didn't get vaccinated, did you?
Oh,
It's
gosh.
okay.
So,
Oops.
well, almost immediately, bro, Janie and I vowed that we're going to make this into a positive, not for anything, any self,
No.
but to bring public awareness. So we vowed right then and there, broke the news to the family. And Mark McGlashan, just heard, by the way, Nikki, I just heard from Mark McGlashan. Mark McGlashan was my lifetime photographer partner at Channel 12. He was in the OR with me. I mean, he was top to bottom, documented everything. And during my recovery, I was allowed to edit the piece at home. I had about a 3 or 4 week recovery, and just try to get the word out that it's important. And the message that we were given, and it still rings true today, whether or not you believe in PSA results. I know there's new controversy on that. But if you get tested, there may be a yellow flag thrown up.
Yeah.
And what we learned was it's the ladies in your life, the daughters, the nieces, the wives, the mothers, the grandmothers who say, get checked.
Yeah.
And I still have the phone call from a wife who credits this with saving her husband's life, because she was a pain in the rump.
Yep.
And made sure that he went to get tested, and he was pretty aggressive with prostate cancer. Had it all resolved, and he's still kicking today.
And that to me, is something I say to my tribe a lot. When we find suffering in our lives, the natural human tendency is to pull in, and it makes sense.
Sure.
But what God wants is us to reach out, and that's what you did. And I know where I was when Janie called me, and I cried, and I kept my eye on the local news. I was not living, of course, in Flint at the time, but I kept my eye on that story. And I know we talked a couple times, but my God, a lot of people would have used that either as a time to garner sympathy, appropriately so, or to just keep it low. And you said, nope, my pain will help others get better. And I will just never, ever forget that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's a gift for me that keeps on giving. I still hear from some people And it really brought home the importance of family too, because I couldn't have gone through this journey, if you will, without people like yourself. You'll see my daughter and wife in the video, the clip that's on the piece. Monsignor Groshek.
Oh, sweet!
This
Love
is
that old man.
shot of me. This is the first time I'm actually out of bed at McLaren with my IV pole, and he's walking down the hall with me.
Oh, I love that old man. He's a faithful priest.
He is.
He is a
Great guy.
faithful priest. And in fact, we could all take a moment and pray for Monsignor Groshek. Life's getting hard for him. And
Good man.
Yeah, great man. I think there was another thing, gosh darn my head.
I may be reading your mind.
Okay.
We'll throw one more out there.
Launch that missile.
Just one more area of specialty that you helped me with that garnished an Emmy. And I'll just use the names of Tom Osterholzer, Joe Krupp.
Oh my gosh.
Patrick McGreevy.
Yeah, in a car.
And it's still, but it's still something today that if it wasn't important back then, that we're still dealing with today.
Oh my gosh,
And that's first doing the series on safety in places of worship.
Yeah.
And now with these guys, we help instruct and underscore the need for safety in places of worship. So I thank you for all that you did to.
We were blessed to do it. We basically, God's people. We don't want to live in fear, but we certainly want to be prudent. And what we learned along the way was the tremendous amount of locally reported, not nationally reported, violence in places of worship. And so we were blessed, as Bill's saying, to travel around with the MSP and do a couple seminars on safety in worship places, encouraging pastors and priests and
Of all denominations.
yeah.
You took the MSP
And
class,
rabbis, yeah.
is where, and then that just grew into.
Now, okay, so when you were telling about the airplane, I don't know if you remember this, but we went together to the MSP facility in Lansing, and Bill had managed to connect me with their driver's course. Do you remember this?
No.
Oh my Lord. So first of all, we went to this seminar, then we had an awful lunch at the Michigan State Police Headquarters. It was ridiculously awful.
Yeah, it was.
And I'm the sort of guy, like, I'll eat anything. That was bad.
Oh,
and,
come on.
Yeah. And so then Bill says, I set up a little thing for it. So basically they have this course and it's a hazardous driving. Am I using the right phrase?
Yes.
So they have these trained officers who can drive this insane course with 90-degree turns and with all of this. And he does it first. And when you're watching it, and he's done it, he gets out, he's laughing so hard he can't think. And I'm like, well, this will be a riot. And I don't know if you remember, I puked my brains out when I got out of that car.
No, I didn't.
No, I didn't puke in the car because the lady driving it was so pretty I couldn't function, right? And I remember thinking, I'm not going to puke in front of a beautiful cop. That's just science. And the only thing that kept me from throwing up in the car was looking at her and knowing I can't because then she might not marry me. So we stop the car. I get 2 steps out, and I'm holding it together, right, really well by going, yeah. And then I just stepped over, and I threw up so much. Actually, my small toe came out my mouth. Wow, that was brutal.
It is
Brutal.
I worked for MSP in between Channel 12 and Channel 25 for 2 years. Arguably some of the most rewarding moments of my life. And the drive track is way up there.
Bruh.
Learn from what Father is saying. You're at a traffic stop. You think you're going to take off and the cops are going to chase you. Trust me, they're going to win.
Yeah.
You're going to lose.
Yeah. Oh.
This is where they are trained.
Yeah, she would. Yeah, I remember 2 things distinctly. Well, few. One, again, her. 2, you giggling, like getting out of the car, and I'm thinking, oh, no problem. And then 3 was praying for God to kill me. Because you can't get. I couldn't. If it was a man, I would have said, "Bro, stop the car. I'm done." But then again, it was her, so she probably wouldn't marry me if I did that.
I think probably, because I've driven it several times, the one part that probably pushed him over the edge is what they call the slick track.
Yes.
Where they fire up these water guns on basically a sheet of asphalt, and the instructor or you have to go into a controlled skid, and it takes...
At 8,000 miles an hour.
That's right, yeah,
Yeah.
you're not doing 20,
Yeah.
you're at high-speed pursuit, and the first 20 times you do it, all you do as a rookie is... I mean, you're just spinning around in
Yeah.
circles.
And she had total control
The
of the vehicle.
experienced
at every
officers
moment.
just do this and they're gone.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that's where you lost.
Oh, it was savage. But the other one, at one point, you came out and again, I know you've done a million stories, but you stayed with me for over 24 hours to do a day in the life of the priest.
Right.
And I don't know if you remember, that was the one where there was a homeless guy I kept making sandwiches for every day, and then he just fell over dead in the parking lot, and
I do
you
remember
were the
that.
only guest at his funeral.
I do remember that.
Yeah, it was me and him and a server and you.
You
and your
were
camera
at
person, of course. Thomas.
St. Thomas. Yeah, right.
And
Lansing.
yeah, that was lovely.
Right, we spent 24 hours
Yeah.
documenting.
You got nominated on that
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
Did you win it?
No,
No? Okay.
something to do about the main character.
He was completely unsympathetic.
We followed you through Lansing Catholic
Yeah.
Central, the bond that you had with the kids.
Yeah.
And I was thinking of that. It was a two-parter. I also became the first civilian, if you want to call that, to spend 24 hours at the Sacred Heart Seminary.
That's right.
And that's where I got to meet then
That's
Bishop.
right.
When you mentioned Archbishop Vigneron,
Yeah.
he got to interview him, and I went,
What a
"Wow,
beautiful
this
man.
guy is
Saintly.
special." Yeah.
Oh, he is a saintly, humble,
So that was
holy man.
both of those were an experience.
Yeah.
Fun
Man.
stories.
Well, Bill, it has been such a joy. I'm double checking. It looks like we got the questions, and our time's just about up. But I want to thank you with all my heart for being my brother, for being the man who, for many, many years, you guided us. All the news events you guided us through. I remember Reagan's assassination because of you, right? I remember assassination attempt. Excuse me. All these things, and Jesus gave you a gift, and you used it so well. And then he gave me a gift in you, and I'm grateful.
Well, vice versa, and I think I speak on behalf of my family. When we heard that Bishop Jerry, or was soon to be Bishop Jerry,
Yeah.
was leaving, we really fervently prayed for a miracle that Joe Krupp would come from. Where were you? You were
I was
in
Hudson,
California?
Yeah, I was in Hudson,
Right.
Manitoba Beach, and Adrian.
It couldn't
yeah.
be any further
Yeah.
in the diocese that maybe, and I remember the day that it was whispered to me that he's going to be your pastor. And I went, hallelujah. So thank you.
It was, it's funny. The year before, like for the 3 years before I came here, I was offered a parish every year. And I always tell the bishop, and I meant it, I'll do whatever you say. Do you want me to go? And every time he'd be like, no, I'm just asking if you want to go. Nope, I'm happy. And on this one, there was everything about it that was right. I was devastated. You know how happy I was down there. But a big part of it, I knew I'd get to be with you and with Nick and in just this sense. Anyway, blah blah.
But anyway,
I could
thank
go
you
on and on.
for being my brother.
Thank you.
And thank you for being my dad. And God bless Mom.
Yeah, God bless Mom. So what we'll do now is I'll do a closing prayer, and then I'll do your exorcism when the camera's off.
Oh,
Yeah, no one wants to see that, Bill.
well, yesterday
Yeah.
I was privileged to watch as you blessed holy water.
Yes,
And the word
yeah.
exorcism is in that. And I meant to ask you, I was talking to
Sure.
a couple of my fellow acolytes this morning, does that exorcism over the holy water, did that extend to us too?
No, not even a little. Yeah, mostly because you guys appear to have made friends with the demons,
I
and
see.
that's
Okay.
not something we encourage. No, I did an exorcism of salt and water yesterday, and while Bill was there, or Viper, as we call him. Can I tell people that?
Sure, Maverick.
Let's pray.
And Father Jeff's Iceman.
Yes.
Oh, and before, are you going to do a how you do?
Yeah,
too?
you know.
Okay.
In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Amen.
Okay, Jesus, you have given us, in our country and in our lives, people who love the truth and who want to share it with us. And when they share the truth, we often don't want to hear it, and so we revile them and get angry. What we ask for today is that we love the truth, even if it makes us uncomfortable, and that we honor those who tell the truth, and that we walk away from those who don't. Thank you for the wonderful vocations you have called us to, and all we ask for right in this moment is the grace to live those vocations well. For all the people that we worry about, for all the situations about which we fret, we give them to you, and we love you, and we trust you. And may Almighty God bless all of you, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Can I have the final word?
Let her out.
Father Cyril Schweinberg was the producer of the Channel Salvation TV Mass.
Oh, wow.
And at the end of every broadcast, he would say this. I've adopted it. If somebody should come up to us as Eucharistic minister for, blessing, may Almighty God bless you always and in always.